Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and what are 6 money lies people actually told you? And by the way, it's not just banks or credit cards that want all your money and they give you bad advice and all this stuff. No, it's not just them, but it's also sometimes your parents and your friends and your girlfriend, whatever it is, right? That tell you a lot of money advice, but in reality, it's trash advice. And by the way, it's not like they have something against you, but most likely they just don't know. So for this video, I'm gonna give you 6, but on top of that, I'm gonna give you an extra 2. And these are all lies I was told to by people that love me, but had no idea that this stuff was actually going to hurt me. Okay, it was gonna hurt me like a lot. All right. However, I hope you watch this video in time. It helps you, and if it does, share it to somebody else. That way, it doesn't hurt them to like not know these lies that people hear about money, thinking that they're actually good things. Okay. Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos every single day, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. And on top of that, also destroy the like button. Now, the very first lie that I heard was from my mom. And that lie was basically, Tommy, you gotta save money. Money is the only way you're going to have something in life. And the whole idea is you gotta save, save, save. And if you don't save, you won't have anything. And, partially, that was true, because at the time, guys, I was grabbing all the money I made from my job, which, by the way, was not that much over at my college as a work studying, over at Gap, also over at flipping phones and vlogging, all that stuff, right? But the whole goal was basically, I grabbed all my money and I bought clothes with it, I bought sneakers with it, I spent it all on transportation, getting some Ubers, eating out, all this stuff, and I really didn't have any money whatsoever. I was living paycheck to paycheck. And it's insane, right? Because basically, when you live with your mom, you're supposed to have so much extra money, but I spent all the money on trash. Now, the idea is, I say, for example, it's not a full-on lie because basically you gotta save some money, but the whole idea is basically it's not going to actually make you rich or wealthy. What's going to do that is basically compound interest and also investing your money. That is the overall thing that's going to make you very wealthy. And by the way, someone said, I use glasses for looking smart. No, guys, these are like real glasses, okay? Without these glasses, see, like how I magnify, I can't see anything, okay? Sometimes it's just like hurts around here, so that's why I take them off, okay? But overall, saving money is great, but investing money is going to be a lot better. Now, for that, you can do it with a Roth IRA, or for example, a 401k, or for example, a taxable account. Now, link down below, I use M1 Finance to invest, and it shows you my entire portfolio and exactly what I invest into if you want to see exactly what your boy invests into, okay? Link down below. Now, the second lie I heard, which relates to this one, is basically, well, yeah. But investing is risky. Investing is gambling. And by the way, I agree, okay? I agree. Now here's why I agree. Relax, okay? Because basically, if you don't know what you're doing, of course it's going to be risky. If I gave you a car and you can't drive it, you drive it, is it risky? The answer is yes. Of course it is. But if you know how to drive, is it risky still? Kinda, but not really, because basically, you know how to drive, right? That's the whole idea. So if you understand investing and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to own the entire US market by buying index funds and so on. I'm going to get that average return every year. Well, guess what? Over the long term, you will become more wealthy by earning, for example, 10 to 12%. And if it don't, guess what that means, right? It means America is trash. It means the international market is trash. So at that point, it doesn't matter. When you buy the whole market, basically the whole country, the whole output, right? All the money it makes, the whole return in the stock market, right? What does that mean? If it doesn't give you anything over 10, 20, 30 years, it means basically the country is turning into trash. And at that point, it doesn't matter how much you save because in reality, guess what? It's going to be worthless because basically hyperinflation or potentially just normal inflation. Money loses value. And by the way, also, that's why you don't want to save so much money because guess what? Imagine spending all your life saving money and living in Venezuela, and now hyperinflation is going crazy. Now basically, $1 is not worth that much anymore, right? So saving money, not that great. Investing money is going to be a big thing. I only save money for one thing, security, and that's called my emergency fund, and that's about it. Now, the third lie you're going to hear, guys, is basically you need credit in order to buy a house. And if you don't have credit, you can't buy a house. And by the way, a house is also an investment, right? That's what they told me. Now, by the way, it's kind of like 2 lies in one, and I'll tell you why. Because basically, you don't need credit to buy a house. But the banks want you to know that because basically, guess what? They want you to think, hey, you do need credit to build credit, get a credit card. Guess what happens? Now you go into credit card debt. Now you have a big problem, okay? On top of that, they say, hey, buy a house, it's an investment. Now what happens is this, okay, guys? They give you a ton of money. More money than you can actually afford to actually get this house for. Which means now you're stuck with this massive house. You have to pay this off for the next 30 years. And guess what? They love that. Why? Because basically, they're going to make a fortune by charging you a bunch of interest. Now, why do I say basically a house is not really, for example, a crazy investment? It's not really that great of an investment, right? In reality, it's more like a personal investment on your security. Why? Because in the long term, it'll lower your cost of living. In the long term, it'll appreciate in time, yes, but there's also costs to own a home. Oh, my AC broke. Oh, the roof needs repair. Oh my gosh, the floors look like trash, right? There's also, oh, the home is not modern enough now, so I have to renovate it, right? There's a bunch of different things you have to put money into a house for, right? So in reality, the big thing is basically, if you buy a good house, right, at a good price on a 15-year mortgage, you pay it off fast, you save a lot of money, right? It's a great investment because over time, it's going to save you money on rent. And that rental money can go towards basically putting that money to work in the stock market or doing whatever you want to do, right? However, don't think that renting for 2 to 3 to 4 or 5 years is a bad thing. Renting for 5 to 10 to 12 years is a problem because at that point, all your money is going towards rent. But renting for 3 to 5 years, no problem, because why? You're seeing exactly what you like and what you don't like. And it gives you the freedom to say, hey, I rent here, no responsibilities, but then when I want to buy a house, I can buy a house when I'm actually ready to actually buy a house. That's the goal. Now, here's why I say you don't need credit when it comes to buying a house, because in reality, you have something called manual underwriting, which means the bank looks at your entire history without having to look at your credit. Now, why? Because the bank looks at 4 things, okay? The first thing is basically using your income. How much money do you make and can you afford to pay this house? On top of that, debt. How much money do you owe? And what is your debt to income ratio? Because if you're spending all your money on debt, you can't pay the mortgage, and I don't want that. Thirdly, also, your payment history. Your payment history, okay? What does that mean? It means, for example, hey, let's check your record if you've been paying things on time. With what? Your rent payments, your phone bill, utilities, all that stuff is also payment history. And last thing, your down payment. How much are you going to put down? All those things give them information to do manual underwriting and approve for a house without having to build credit and all that stuff. Because again, building credit can lead you to basically going into credit card debt, and that can be a problem for a lot of people. Now, if you do want to build credit, it does make it easier to go out there and qualify for a home. Now, to build credit, I recommend one thing, and that's called the one bill method. Meaning, you got a credit card? Yes, great. But in reality, what you want to do is just put one small bill on the credit card. Why? Because this way, you don't get into any credit card debt like crazy, right? So my credit card is right here. I put my phone bill on it. I set it to auto pay. It pays in full every single month. But this credit card, I would cut it. That way I don't use it. I'm not tempted. And by the way, it's blurred out in the back. I haven't used this credit card basically in over a year. A long time. I don't use it. I don't use credit cards, right? But I use them to build credit by using the one bill method, okay? And it works. It works. It works. It works. I have around is 788 right now. Without any debt, without anything going on crazy, okay? That's awesome. Now, number 4, guys, is basically, if you want to make a lot of money, then you got to work very, very, very hard, okay? Now, the 2 hardest working men in my life are basically my grandpas, okay? And one works in America and one works in a third world country. And they both wake up very, very early. They go to work for the past decades. They work very, very hard. And let me tell you something, right? None of them are rich, okay? And on top of that, they're not actually financially free either. Now, one of them is happy with their job and the other one isn't. Now, one has worked for around 20 to 30 years and has, for example, 40K in his 401k and is still paying off a house that he couldn't afford then. You see how crazy this is? Now, there's this quote by John D. Rockefeller, a guy that had a net worth of around $400 billion. Guess what he says? He says basically, if you spend all your day working, you won't have time to make any money. Because guess what? If your time equals money, then it can't go beyond what you actually have in the day, which is basically 24 hours. You need 8 to sleep, 8 to work, like maybe 2 for travel, eat and everything else, right? But the overall idea is this, right? You gotta have money work for you also. That is what's going to make you rich, okay? Now, The way I see it is this, guys, okay? If you have a job, that job gives you seed capital. That's the money you use to go out there and invest money, for example, into your Roth IRA, or for example, into your 401k. Now with money, you're supposed to buy a few things. And these first four things are basically, first of all, freedom. How do you do that? You pay off all your debt. That gives you basically, in a way, income freedom. All your income is now yours to have. On top of that, you buy security. How? You basically buy an not an investment account, an emergency account. That way, if you lose your job, you're good to go. On top of that, you also lower your expenses. How? You buy a home and you try to own it as fast as possible. And also you build a nest egg. How do you do that, right? You go ahead and you invest money into your Roth IRA or into your 401k. Now, it's sad to say that basically my grandpa right now is around 63, 64 years old, has 40k in his 401k, and the idea is that also has a home. Now, this home has around 5 to 7 years left on the mortgage. Now, what does this mean? It means that the life expectancy is 75 years old. I'm well aware of that. Now, I'm saying this because basically, if he had done what I'm telling you now a decade before or 2 decades before, he would have been in a very different place, right? He would have owned this house a long time ago. He would have had a lot of money in investments. He would have been enjoying his life a lot more. If he had to work, he would have worked. And by the way, my grandpa that's outside of America is a lot more happier than my grandpa here, because basically he spent his life, although he doesn't make that much money, working a job that he actually enjoys. And he also has a good amount of money in savings because basically he doesn't have to invest that well. But they own their house. The house is theirs, right? They own it. He has his own vehicle, which by the way is a horse, okay? But he's very happy with it. And is the happiest man I've ever seen in my life, okay? Works very hard, isn't rich. I understand that. But guess what? He's happy also, right? Hard work doesn't equal crazy wealth. But basically, having your money work for you is going to help you out a ton. So I don't want to see you guys in 20 years or 30 years working very hard and not having what you actually want. It doesn't equal wealth, okay? Be very careful with that also. It's all about putting your money to work. That's the idea. And by the way, you gotta be patient. Remember that, okay? And by the way, if you want to learn to invest, I recommend one book, and that's called The Little Book About Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. And the guy died with a $80 million net worth. So he knows what he's talking about, and that's why I follow his teachings also when it comes to my investments. Now, number 5, guys, is basically budgets suck, so don't use one, okay? A budget restricts you. I want to spend my money whatever I want to spend my money on. I deserve it. All this stuff is all nonsense, okay? Budgets are great. If you want to have a budget, create one that you actually like and you actually enjoy. If you don't like your budget, right, the idea is, well, add things you like to it, right? So add, hey, I want to buy Starbucks, at least, for example, once a week or whatever it is, right? Make sure you have that money set aside for that. But a budget is going to be the tool to get you to where you want to go. If you don't have a budget, you'll be living most likely paycheck to paycheck, because basically you make money, but you don't know where your money goes. That's the idea. So a budget is going to be very important. Now, number 6, guys, and the last one here is going to be leverage is good, debt is good, OPM is awesome. Now, this comes from a lot of impatience. The impatience of saying, hey, Tommy, I want to get rich quickly. I want to do it fast. And I didn't know why, like, people were like going to rush things, but it's always because basically, hey, social media, you see someone making $20,000, they're 18, 19 years old, you're like 24, 22 years old, you still don't have it there. The answer is don't worry about anyone else. Worry about yourself and making progress. The thing is basically, when you use leverage, okay, I want to do a business, so I borrow that money. I want to buy a home, I can't afford it, I borrow a lot of money also. I want to buy these things, so basically I use a credit card, all this stuff, right? It's all about using other people's money, but in reality, you run a big risk because, by the way, as you can magnify your gains, potentially, you can also magnify your losses. So if you do mess up, now you have this massive loan on you. You don't have the income to pay it off. You have all this stuff on you, and in reality, it can break you for a very long time. So I'd rather be patient, do things step by step, than going out there and rushing into something I can't afford. A few years ago, I was in New York. I'm still in New York, by the way, looking at 2 family homes, right? To go ahead and basically buy a home for like $500,000 or like $600K and try to rent it out. If I had bought that, guys, okay, I would have been in so much trouble. Because now all my income's going towards that. If I have a vacancy, I have a problem, right? So it's a big issue. On top of that, the mortgage is crazy. So the goal is take things step by step. Don't try to rush anything. The end of life is You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to rush the finish line. Just take your time, get in there and enjoy it. Using OPM, sometimes it's good, but most of the times it is not a good idea. You take on too much risk, and when things don't go your way, which usually they won't, it's how life works, right? Things don't go your way all the time, you'll be hurt. And when you get hurt, you'll be out of commission for a very long time. Now, lastly, the bonus ones are these guys. And by the way, if you made it all the way to this point of the video, comment down below, I made it, okay? That way I know you made it all the way to this point of the video. Now, here's the last ones right here, right? Number 7 is security over doing what you actually like to do. That's a lie. You know, there is no security in life, okay? My friend got fired from a very secure job at the college. He's fired, he's done there. On top of that, you can get fired any moment you actually want. And by the way, the quote I like the most about this is basically one by Jim Carrey, and the funny guy, the comedy guy. And he says basically, hey, you can also fail at what you don't want to do, like you can also fail, for example, at what you want to do. So for example, if I want to be a YouTuber, I can fail at that also. If I'm an accountant, I can fail at that also. But the point is, you gotta enjoy what you do. You don't want to go 40 years, like my grandpa did, one of them, right? Doing a job you kind of like, you don't hate it, but you just basically, it's bearable, right? You don't want to do that because 40 years is a very long time. It's not how you want to spend your time. So make sure you look for a job with these 3 things right here, okay? You like it, you're good at it, and it's going to make you money. It's the second time I do that. I'm so sorry, okay? But on top of that, make sure it's a level of challenge to it, okay? That way, it keeps you intrigued. But not every day, you're going to love it, obviously, okay? But sometimes, it's not what you do, but it's why you do it. I might work a job I hate to take care of my kids or build my investments. That's fine, okay? It all depends on why you're actually doing it also. And lastly, you need to borrow money to go to college. That's also fake news, okay? It's not really true. And here's why. They tell you in school, oh my gosh, community college is for losers and for people that can't make any grades, okay? And it's false. If I could do it all over again, I would have gone to community college right next to my house, right? Would have gone right there. I would have saved a lot of money on those general education courses for 60 credits, right? Saved a lot of money, a lot of money. I would have saved the money while I'm there also by having a job. And when I went to 4-year school, for example, like Baruch College, I would have transferred over all my credits. I would have finished my accounting degree in 2 years, right? On top of that, I would have had all the money to pay for it in cash. That way, I would have graduated debt-free, plus my scholarships, plus meaning I graduate with no loans whatsoever. That would have been a better picture. But the picture I heard was basically private school is great. It's better quality, all this nonsense. In reality, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Just take your time and be patient. Guys, overall, this is all I got for you for this video right here, guys. Hopefully it helped you in some way. If it didn't, comment down below. If it did, though, comment down below. Let me know if you learned something. If I missed anything, comment down below also and let me know. Any ideas also, comment down below, let me know. That way, I'll make those videos by tomorrow also. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to get notified. If you guys want to follow me on my other channels, well, links down below. On one channel, I take calls from Monday to Friday and call you for free for 30 minutes and talk to you. So go join that channel, link down below. Also, subscribe over there and make a call, and I schedule you, and I basically call you, okay? On top of, follow me on Instagram, TommyBryson. And before I go, thanks for watching, and as always, peace.